Welcome to the Planet MicroCap Showcase Virtual 2022. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and thank you all for joining us today. I'd like to introduce our next presentation here at our event. It is the team from Aurora Spine. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: ASG on the TSX venture and ASAPF on the OTCQB. Part of that team that is presenting today is Trent Northcutt, CEO, as well as Chad Klaus, CFO. And following their presentation will be a short Q&A with Paul Andriola from Small Cap Discoveries. With that, Trent, Chad, take it away.
Well, thank you for having us. We're thrilled to be here. Exciting time here at Aurora, so I'm looking forward to you sharing this information with your watchers and viewers. So Aurora is a publicly traded company, as you disclosed, and this is just a quick disclaimer. One of the things I wanted to show here is that Aurora actually has a high level of intellectual property, multiple patents. We have international patents, US patents. So it's not just a one-off company where it has a couple of devices that are not patent protected, don't have long-term patents awarded to them. Actually has a quite robust patent offering that we share throughout our entire portfolio. So Aurora is located in Carlsbad, California. It's actually my hometown. We're just a few miles off the coastline here, 35 miles north of San Diego, downtown San Diego. So we're up here on the north side of San Diego County. We opened up in 2014. We have, it actually needs to be updated because we have people out in the field, but 18 full-time in-office employees, 6 regional sales managers around the country. Recently, we added more in-house manufacturing and prototyping capabilities, which I'll share in the next slide here. Another thing is we have our quality system is ISO 13485, which covers us all around the world. So part of the manufacturing here, which is great, we're actually able to make a lot of the tools and some of the implants right here on site. This manufacturing capabilities help us reduce some of our timelines, lower some of our costs, and of course, be more responsive to the surgeon needs, what they're looking for from an implant standpoint, from an instrument standpoint, and it might even be a custom instrument that the doctor wants to use. Team is really set to get it right. So we do a really good job of looking at the close details of each implant and how each implant is made. And one of the biggest projects that we just rolled out and just got recent patent approved on, and also got an FDA approval on, 510K cleared, is our DEXA technology, which is one that we're going to say here is, well, why DEXA? So DEXA technology is really important to the company. I think it's a real strong suit for the company. It's an entire platform built on a new way of looking at implants, a more personal approach to the implants. So in this case, patients have different variabilities of their bone density. So having low bone density or osteoporosis is affecting 54 million Americans, roughly 8 million out of 10 million Americans with osteoporosis are women. So it's a very high yield patients that need to take a closer look at what their bone density is versus just putting an implant in them. What is the bone density difference based upon that patient's bone density? So according to the International Osteoporosis Foundation, low bone mass or osteoporosis has been identified as a public health threat. So patients that are 50 years and over have to really take a close look at what they're putting in their bodies from an implant standpoint. The prevalence of osteoporosis amongst women 50 years or older is about 16%. So women over the ages of 50 have evidence of vertebral fractures and osteoporotic conditions that can be reported in 1 in every 4 women. The US will experience 5.2 million fractures of the hip, spine, and distal forearm, leading to over $45 billion in direct medical costs. So we looked at the way that additive manufacturing and how the implants were being made. And we took a close look at what was the gold standard globally. It doesn't matter if you're here in San Diego or if you're in Moscow. It doesn't matter where you're located at. Patient's bone density and the scoring of the patient's bone density is universal. And the scoring system is in 2 real categories. One, in a numeric value system, +4, -4, everywhere in the middle between those 2 variances, and a color-coded system, such as green, yellow, and red. So the green zone is more of your healthy or your normal bone, which is different, of course, from a yellow or a red standpoint. So the presence of osteopenia is in that yellow zone, and severe or established osteoporosis is in the red zone. So these scoring values, +4 down to -4, or in the green zone down to the red zone, all fall within a global bone scoring system that is universal in all healthcare. So we said, well, what's the difference between an implant? So we patented this technology utilizing to create an implant that would be patient specific based upon the scoring system, the color coded or in the numeric value system. So traditionally, medical implants are actually manufactured just into a one size fits all. So your Aunt Mabel or your Uncle Buck, they're going to get the same implant from all the other spine manufacturing companies, but not at Aurora. Aurora is going to give you something that actually is going to be more specific based upon that patient's bone density. Uncle Buck might have different bone densities than your Aunt Mabel, and that's very common, and it's, again, common globally. So we made it. It's the first real customization implant that's actually based upon the patient's bone density. So the biomechanics, this is evidence-based. So bone stiffness is predicated by bone quality, and the bone quality varies by patient. DEXA, the implant that Aurora created and patented and got a 510(k) approval on, tunes its material into that bone density match. Here shows kind of a refined part of the bone mimicking, which is the trabecular side of it. I'm not going to go into the weeds on this, but it basically shows how that stiffness and how it works within the difference between a porosity of a patient or the titanium that's being additive or 3D printed. How can we get it as close as possible to the actual organics of the patient's bone versus the implant being manufactured? So here's the competitive landscape, where the column on the far right here is all 3D printed implants that are out there in the market are off the chart. They're too high to even report. The stiffness is greater than any possible bone measuring indicator, which is, again, that +4 to that -4, or that color-coded system between a green down to a red. So our implants are actually specifically designed to fit more in the values, the numeric values of that patient's bone density. We're the only ones that have this. We're the only company has this capability based upon the patent and, of course, the way that we manufacture it. So again, 510K'd, we tested it in worst case scenarios, made sure that it was something that was really unique. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit here because I want to get to a slide that's really important that shows how close we got to competing against other implants to show how it really worked. And this is one of the slides that shows how we constantly retested in these foam blocks and these biomechanical blocks, how to test to find out how we get that shear strength. So this is a peak cage versus the DEXA implant. And we ran this process 100 times over and over and over again. And you'll see this number value system is about to show on the screen here. These are Newton strength. And the column on your left is going to go to a certain Newton value, and then it's going to crack and collapse around the foam block. And we stop it right there at 1,074 Newton strength. And if you look to the right, you can see that the DEXA implant continues to go. It has some cracking around this, but not nearly as severe as the column on the left. And this value continues to compress. And so we are able to run this and get a much higher value over and over again, consistently working closer to that patient's bone density. So the takeaway message on the DEXA implant is bone stiffness correlates to bone quality. DEXA implant, which is a patented technology from Aurora, tunes its stiffness closely to match the patient's bone stiffness. And matching patient's bone stiffness minimizes the risk of subsidence and optimizes that implant to help better success for that patient. So it's really a key product. We're really excited about this technology. We feel like we're going to, really make an impactful decision for the doctor. The doctor's going to have more options, something that they never really had before. This is kind of a quick animation that shows our first release, which was our cervical cage. The cervical cage was placed in the neck. So these are for cervical fusions. I'm sure many of you have heard about this. The implants are different densities, as I mentioned, and this kind of shows how it fits in that range, and how the doctor can simply know I'm going to go from a high density to a low density to even like a patient that has osteoporosis. So here's a close-up imaging, how we got really close to that cancellous bone, which is the materials on the right, the actual patient's bones on the left, and even more imaging that shows how it interfaces with the patient's bone. So the DEXA-C was the very first product that we came out. And people might ask, well, why would a doctor switch from one implant to the next implant? So early on, doctors were using bone chips or machine bone, and then they were even getting into the point where they were using machine metals, but the materials were inconsistent in the bone and the metals were just simply too hard. This is early on in the 90s. And then polymers started to come in. Polymers were, and still are, considered a very high standard. Even we created a tie-coated PEEK implant as inside of our company. And then 3D printing really came on, and we had our own aha moment with this. And we felt that this was the right way to go, because what everyone was trying to accomplish over the last 20 plus years, say 30 years, was they were trying to get the benefits of bone, the modulus of polymers, and the consistency, and of course the new latest technology of 3D printing, and we rolled it all into one implant, where we gave them that modulus, we gave them that consistency, we gave them that bone growth opportunity, and matched it with the patient's bone density. So it was really a real win across the board, which is what doctors were looking for in an implant. I'll back it up here because that slide went too quick. Sorry about that. So here's another indicator of what the implant looks like. This is an animation created in-house. Again, the doctor interoperatively can pick the implant to kind of match what he thinks is best for that patient. And they can make a quick switch right then and there on the spot, or predetermine it before they even go into the surgery. And then once they pick the right implant for that patient, they can bring that implant into the patient. And what you'll see in this image here is that the three-dimensional all vascularity of the implant, where the bone can now grow and fuse in between the implant to create that stability for that patient, giving it full vascularity back to that area where they can get that fusion in there and stop that micromotion where the patient's having that pain. So this is why it's important that the doctor has this variable option interoperatively. And second that we came out with was to be able to support the cervical fusion, which is the Apollo plate. And this is going to be a couple of great slides here, because it's going to show you actual real x-rays here. So here's a true x-ray of a real patient that had DEXA HD. You can see it right there, DEXA high density implants. In this image right here, and I don't know if my mouse is going to show up here, but I'll try it. You can actually see where the implant went right on in there and actually was closest to the patient's matched bone density. So this was an intraoperative photo taken from a doctor of ours that uses this product down in the Louisiana area. And we had another doctor do a trial for us in the Texas area. And these are just really great images that show how the implant works in. And for the first time, a doctor can actually, post-operatively, actually take a look at this implant and know that they've put what density implant they've put in this patient, you know, day after surgery, a month after surgery, 1 year, 2 years and beyond. They can actually have a nice indicator that shows what implant did I use on that patient, not just the size, not just the shape, but what density implant did I use on this patient. So to wrap it all in this video, you'll kind of see here how we came up with a plate that helps it, fuse the neck. How variable it is. This is one of our key products. It's commercialized. We started this year. We're going to fully roll out this product next year on the cervical plate. The implant cages are all going in right now. Pristine, high quality implant for the patient. And this right here shows the doctor that you have great graph windows, so you can see now again select which implant that he wants to use or she wants to use interoperatively, and the implant is selected. And of course, the implant goes on top of this. Is a combination product, single level cervical fusion that we're showing here in this imaging. And it's just a nice, easy to use, surgery center friendly, outpatient friendly procedure. And the patient can go home the same day following this procedure. DEXA technology as a platform is really key, because Aurora is going to be building all of its implants that interface in between bone, where there's different densities that are needed to measure. We're building all this into our platform. So every implant that Aurora makes will have the interfaces with bone is going to be DEXified. And this will come in cervical, as we've already started, in lumbar, which is going to be the next phase coming in here in Q1. And then, of course, our SI product, which I'll be talking more about later in the presentation. This is our SI fusion device, but everything will have this technology. So first commercialization of the product is the beginning of the year. The entire product will be dexified, as I mentioned, and additional implants will be added. And then anything outside of spine, we would look to commercialize or partner with any bigger companies that would like to license this technology. So more about the product portfolio of Aurora. We kept it simple from our standpoint. So simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. We just believe in a real simple approach to implants. The idea of it is to help the patient, help the doctor, and have less moving parts for that patient. This is our flagship product. This is a zip device. The LP, which stands for low profiles on the left. The Zip 51, which stands for L5S1, is for that low back. And all these implants are approved here from your upper thoracic all the way down to your low back. So quickly, the LP, again, a low profile implant, comes in two different lengths, 35 and 40 millimeter lengths. Doctor can select the right patient size for that patient. The other option is for the Zip 51, where the doctor can actually attach on to the sacrum part of the spine, which is your L5S1, lumbar 5, sacrum 1. And these implant is available for all doctors, including ortho, neuro, and of course, as we mentioned, we've been working with the new pain interventional doctors. Pardon me. Sorry for the music. The implant there, of course, is surgery center friendly, reduces OR time, about 30 minutes or less per procedure, much shorter reduction in operating room time versus pedicle screw or big screw fixation surgery. Again, surgery center implant, we prepackage these implants sterile. And a big stat that's really important is if you do these outpatient surgeries, we have less than 69% less blood loss than a big traditional lumbar open surgery. So we're able to really help the patient. Here's an x-ray of the implant. This is a live x-ray that shows how the implant is used and how it's placed into the body. And again, this is a screwless procedure. Should load here. Sorry, I got a lot of music playing here. This happens to be one of the training programs that we are teaching the doctors. They're coming to our labs and seeing how the implant is placed, how it works, how do they interface this with their discussions with the patient. These are all collaborative people working together, showing how the implants can be used and then approached back to their patients. Many of these people in these images are current users, and some of them were brand new users trained on this technology. And it's gone really well for them. And they constantly are coming back to our labs as faculty now because they put in a bunch of the implants and now they're really comfortable and they're able to share this experience with new doctors that are looking to use this product. And this happened to be a course that we taught in Las Vegas. So it was a really great course. And we also exhibited the products. We participated in all the major trade show events and congresses, conventions that are involved for doctors' reimbursements and coding. And also the doctors are looking for a new specialty that they want to add to their practice. So our team is out constantly on the road, promoting the product and looking to find new people to share our devices with. The Zip device itself has got over 8,000 procedures performed worldwide. Canada, Mexico, United States, and we even started originally and did some procedures in Europe. Great biomechanics. We tested this implant because we wanted to go up against the gold standard, which is the screw procedure, which is pedicle screws, and that we found that we had better compression, better statistical outcomes with this implant because it's just less was more in this case. There's nothing wrong with screws, just that some patients need to have a screw implant put into them and a construct, but many patients do not. So it's a blend of what exists in the marketplace and, of course, new implants that are being offered to help reduce that patient's pain without the big giant procedure of lumbar fusion. This is just a competitive landscape of what Aurora offers. I'll go through this pretty quick. We had a very good retrospective study on the device that was performed by Dr. Vip Mangel. In this case, we found that we had really positive outcomes and zero problems with any of the patients following after 3 months. So very, really high success rate. I'm going to slide, go up here a little bit faster. Here's actually a real live image. It's showing the implant placed into the patient. Again, low profile, small incision, and something that the patient can really get up and walk out that same day. So the first product we released here for our SI was our SiLO implant. This is what we call phase 1. And this implant has been a really, really well-received implant, easy approach, posterior approach to SI joint. So the implant is simply placed into the SI joint. And we know that the patients get quick recovery in this, so they can allow them to get a relief in their SI joint. So the doctor places a wire, makes a very small skin incision, and then places what we call the joint finder into the SI joint. They get confirmation on X-ray on this to see that this instrument is used in there to get a nice little placement where the implant's going to be seated. We patented this implant here. It's called, instrument, excuse me. It's called the Ghost Tube. It's a radiolucent tube. Allows the doctor to get a 360-degree view of the SI joint. The only thing that shows up here on film is this little tine right here, this middle tine, showing that they've got perfect placement into the SI joint. And now they're able to prep the area. First, what they would do is to decorticate the area to be able to put a nice little groove right there where now they can place the implant. The implant is backed in with some biologics. Biologic is part of the healing response for the patients to get a bony fusion right there. So the implant's now placed, a gentle tap, tap, tap into the SI joint, get the confirmation on X-ray to make sure the doctor's pleased with the placement, and then hit a couple more times on the implant just to secure it down into the SI joint. In and out of surgery in less than an hour. Patient walks out of the surgery center the same day. So again, all three of these products that I've shared with you so far today, these are all outpatient-driven procedures. The way a patient should be able to walk in, get the relief that they're looking for, and walk out in the very same day. So the SiLO is one of our fastest-growing products in our company. And, sorry, I can move over here, pardon me. And this is a couple of live images that show it in X-ray in real live patients. So just a real high quality device. The implant is really catching on, and we think that people are really starting to see the benefits of this technology. I'm fast forwarding some slides here. The second phase is our SiLO TFX, which we just got the 510K approval on here in October. We plan a full commercialization of this product in the first quarter of this coming year. And we're really excited about the release of this technology. We feel like it's going to be a real game-changing device in the industry. We've compared it up against some of the biggest biomechanics out there in the SI joint, and feels though our implant is going to have real positive outcomes. Different options for the doctor to be able to place the implant. And of course, the implant is going to be, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be dexified. So there's a huge opportunity with this device, and we know that it's a huge market opportunity. And as I mentioned, we will be dexifying the implant. There it is, should be popping up here on the screen. And this is part of that patent that I mentioned early on in the presentation. And I wanted you to see that we have a full plan here in regards to how our implants are rolled into surgery centers and hospitals, of course, and how each one of these implants is specifically designed based upon a patent and a platform that is going to be a successful opportunity for the patient, successful opportunity for the doctor, and of course, a great opportunity for shareholders and stakeholders in the company. And with that, I'll send it back to our great host.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your presentation here today. And now I'd like to introduce Paul Andriola from Small Cap Discoveries to conduct a short Q&A. So with that, Paul, take it away.
Okay, we're in tough markets. How do you handle the macro environment? What are you doing to handle that macro environment right now?
Well, thanks, Paul. I appreciate the question. Aurora has addressed the concerns with any type of early on headwinds with bringing in some more of our own in-house manufacturing, trying to control more of our supply chain than we had in years past. This has really helped us. It creates more balance for us and an opportunity to be able to make the implants as we go along, and also to help drive down our costs. Certainly, the headwinds are real coming out of as we were in a recession across the country, and price costs went up. We wanted to control more of those, and we believe that we've got a good step in the right direction to help control some of those costs and some of the early headwinds that we caught during the recession.
Looking forward, in 2023, what sort of catalysts do you expect, or should investors watch out for?
I think you got to look at Aurora as a platform and as an IP house. Many of our products that we've developed are all patent protected. We've also introduced these technologies into a bigger market beyond the orthopedic market. We have the ortho, the neuro, and of course now the new pain interventional market. It's an expanding market, and Aurora has really done a good job of getting their technologies into more hands and into more patients, getting really positive outcomes. And we backed all this up with multi-center studies and data release, so we can release evidence-based medicine based upon patented technology.
And what sort of corporate actions are you doing right now to execute on your business strategies going forward?
Aurora is publicly traded on the Toronto Exchange. We are looking towards advancing it to uplist over to the NASDAQ in the coming year, and we're also working on the rollout of each one of these technologies based upon the market size. So we look at what market size is in cervical fusion and SI fusion. It was one of our fastest growing emerging markets. And Aurora takes a close look at these markets to see if it's the right time for the size of our company to make sure that we can maximize our potential in each one of those segments.
And for full disclosure, we're not shareholders of Aurora Spine.
All right. Well, with that, thank you both for your presentation today. Thank you, Paul, for those questions. And thank you to everyone that is listening in and watching Aurora Spine's presentation today. And with that, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your conference.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate everything.